April electrification.
There you go.
I have a chance.
Right, so I'm busy, I've been listening, so it's, I'm making these, which is, I'm not fighting with this travel.
Help me. Love this.
Okay. You guys don't wait for me.
Shut the door.
Yes.
Shut it.
You guys grab the clicker?
Yeah.
Everything should be good to go, so whenever, I mean, you guys got like 2 weeks, you guys.
I mean,
It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter to me.
Sooner we get done, sooner we get lunch.
I was just gonna say that, like, I guess the sooner you guys get done, the sooner we get to eat lunch, so. Whenever you guys are ready, go ahead and go for it, gentlemen.
All right.
Hello investors, my name is Tanvir.
I'm Dave.
I'm Tommy.
And I'm Eric.
And we are HelpMeVolunteer. So we are 4 high schoolers up here, and we are involved in plenty of different organizations and clubs outside of the classroom, which end up taking a lot of our time. 3 of those examples would be business organizations, National Honor Society, and sports teams. What these 3 have in common is the fact that they all have a service requirement, which means that we, as high schoolers, have to go out into the community and try to give back as a requirement. So because of the limited time schedule we have, we don't actually end up sitting down and doing a thorough amount of research to actually determine where we're going to get those hours. So what's ends up happening is that for those required 20 hours of service, we end up going back to the same 2 companies, 2 nonprofits over and over again for those required hours. Feed My Starving Children, Loaves and Fish are a good example. While that might be fine for some high schoolers to fulfill their requirement or such things like that, that leaves 2 huge problems for us. One is that as high schoolers, since we are going back to do the same exact thing over and over again, that gets very repetitive. And because of that, our involvement with the community, we are less passionate about what we're doing. Number 2 is that there are many smaller nonprofits who could greatly benefit from the amount of volunteers that they just simply don't know how to get, because these well-established nonprofits are getting them more.
So how we're going to solve this is we're creating an app involving nonprofits and organizations, making it easier for college students and high school students to go and sign up for an event. Nowadays, kids simply just don't have the time to go and sign up for a nonprofit or organizations due to them being so busy with school, clubs, and just different activities and sports, stuff like that. So basically our app, how it looks, as seen on the board, it's a description of the event, or of the event and company. It shows the location, the hours of when it is, the date, and then also pictures so you can see what it looks like and if you'd be interested in it. So basically all you have to do is go and sign up, give a username and password, and then you're ready to go for your first event.
So our 2 competitors are Giving the Page and Volunteer Match. Giving the Page is a website that connects volunteers with organizations, and they're mostly sign-in based, so it's hard for the volunteer and the organization. They don't really have that direct contact. And Volunteer Match is the same thing, except they're with well-known organizations, and they're more regional, so they don't really focus on the DuPage and Naperville area. Also, it's really hard for you to sign in for an event, and since we have an app, it's much easier for a volunteer to sign up for an event.
So another way we differentiate ourselves is we have a reward system. Basically how this works is we're giving out gift cards to Chipotle, Jimmy John's, and Subway, and the more you sign up for different events, the more money you'll receive towards those restaurants. And another way that we're different is that our app is easy and accessible for the user and organization side.
So you may be asking yourself, how are we going to be making money? Well, we will be using a business-to-business strategy and asking organizations for a $20 monthly subscription to be on our events page. But if the companies want to purchase more months to begin with, then there will be a discount for the subscription. So to see if there's an actual market for this business idea, we looked at the total addressable market in the United States and found that there are 47.4 million organizations that give out volunteer opportunities, which would generate $1.2 billion and 100% of the market's revenue. So for our SG&A, we will be localizing in the DuPage County, which has 153 organizations that give out volunteer opportunities, which would generate $3.8 million in revenue. So for our first year, we're looking to hit about 2% of the market, which would give us $60,000 in revenue. And our SG&A costs would be about $10,000, which include copyright, website hosting, and other legal fees, which would give us $50,000 for our first year profits.
So, now that we've done all the groundwork and laid the foundation for actually how our business is going to work, what we now want to do is actually validate our idea and see how it works in a real market environment. And what we'll be doing is then creating a minimum viable product through our website. So my role in the minimum viable product design is going to be to actually create this website where we'll be displaying some information about our company, displaying some contact information on top of that. But then the main feature of it is that we also want to emulate the final functionality of our application without actually having to invest valuable time and resources into that development. So what we'll end up doing is using Google Sheets and Google Forms services such as those. We'll manage event signups ourselves, and then we'll actually post them on this website so that way users can still be able to sign up for them as if they were using the app.
And then my role in this is I'll be talking to organizations and nonprofits to get them to join our app. So far we've already talked to parents that are involved in organizations, and then also the Special Olympics coaches here at Naperville Central, and they basically told us that they love our idea and they'd love to be a part of our Help Me Volunteer.
So my role is to market, and we're going to market through to Twitter and Instagram. And the reason for this is because teenagers mostly use these two social media platforms. We also want to market towards clubs at Naperville Central High School. And one example is National Honor Society, and they have about 400 students who need like 20 hours of volunteer hours, and this is only at Central, so you can imagine how much would be around in DuPage County. And another organization we want to market is Special Olympics. I happen to be a Special Olympics athlete, and I know how important it is for athletes to have that peer relationship. And there are about like 60 athletes who do it for Team 2 or 3, and that's the Naperville North and Central. So you can imagine how much would be in the DuPage County. And we're also going to market through classes. I'm in sociology, and I need extra credit. So for that, I need some volunteer hours, so that would be a good idea to market for that class too.
So then moving forward, I'll be talking to different companies regarding the reward system, such as like Jimmy John's or Subway, and seeing if we need to purchase the gift cards ourselves, or if we can talk to franchise managers and see if there's a possible way to get a discount for the gift cards.
So investors, that's where you guys come in, and we need your help. To actually embark and design this MVP and really collect some valuable data that we can use to design our final product and bring it to market, we're asking for about $100. That'll be mainly used for 3 different things. The first will be the first thing we will do with that money immediately is buy our domain, which is HelpMeVolunteer.org, which we've already checked the status of. It's completely available, and it's also cost efficient. The second thing we also want to use that for is for an SMS service called Twilio. What that allows us to do is actually test out one of the parts of our UVP, which is how we want organizations to be able to easily contact the people who signed up for those events through SMS automation text that we can basically incorporate into our website. So like things like cancellations or last minute location changes, organizations can easily keep up and send those out to the volunteers. And then the third thing we also want to use that money for, as Eric mentioned earlier, was that we also want to be able to purchase those rewards at either a discounted price or full price, which we need that money for. So with that, investors, I really want to ask you guys, who wants to jump in and really start making a difference?
We have 1:50 left. Good job.
Hold on.
Gentlemen, you did a really nice job selling this idea. I really like the idea. One question I have for just clarity before I kind of go on. You have a functioning app now, or you just have a prototype of the app?
We don't have a functioning app right now. That was just a
sketch up I
picture.
made.
There was
Yeah.
a synthesis.
Correct.
The website is nearly done. It just needs to have a lot of the background stuff with Google Sheets and things like that
Okay.
done. But, yeah.
So are you guys developing that website?
Yes,
You are,
I-
so you're
that would
doing,
be
so you're the champion?
Yeah.
All right, you're working really cheap. Gotcha. All right, so from that website development, then come the app that's going to link to your website so you can start having those feeds.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Now, the one question I would have for you, and I'm kind of going to the financial, I'm not going to go deep into the financials. I just have you tested or gotten feedback from any non-for-profits regarding the $20 a month fee?
$20 a month fee. We actually already created a survey which we sent out to a couple organizations.
Okay.
We haven't gotten much reply yet. but we definitely want to go out and actually like talk to them one-on-one, especially once we start the MVP design, because we've been focusing on a lot of the classwork right
So
now.
you have that to prove up.
Mhm.
My suggestion to you is also try to find other revenue streams to help pay for this. You're gonna be functioning as a non-for-profit yourself, is that correct?
No.
So this is a non-for-profit for profit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. You may wanna make that clear when you actually talk to folks.
Okay.
Because if you're using non-for-profit as your deal, I would strongly encourage you to have some type of feedback going back into these non-for-profit organizations that would then say, gosh, I pay $20 a month and here I am, I'm getting a rebate, I'm getting something back because I've been able to bring so many more kids in. Your financial picture, to me, seems very rosy. I think you really need to flesh it out. I know you're the talent, and I firmly believe you really have it down. You're still gonna need help.
Thank you.
You're still gonna need some help on the SG&A side, the marketing side, you know, the outreach and things that you're gonna need to do as far as just seed money, getting your name out there. I think you have a fantastic idea.
Thank you.
I really would like to see you guys just develop this more fully, the financial picture, what you've got to do to go out in the market, and try to get that app out there and have people start using it just on a test basis to see how it works.
Thank you.
A question just in terms of kind of the scope, because in the beginning, as you described it, I thought it was kind of broadly for volunteer service, and then I heard the word event kind of over and over again, and not all nonprofits, you know, the events may be a couple times a year, or they're much more sporadic. So would you also build this around, you know, if someone said, hey, I want to volunteer 3 hours on Friday afternoon for the next part of my semester, would you incorporate that, or is this going to be purely event driven?
It's gonna be both. Like for example, things like the Alive Center and like other community organizations who have like constant volunteering opportunities throughout the week. You're gonna incorporate that best as possible. You might have to keep that separate from the events page because like it's separate like that. One example for the MVP that we're actually working with is our mentor knows one of the people who runs the St. Patty's Day 5K. So we're gonna be trying to test that out with the amount of volunteers like volunteering for that event and helping the marathon, like the 5K marathon.
Yeah, I think if you could do both, that'll be more valuable to a nonprofit than
Yeah.
just being event-driven, and maybe you've got to have a different tab. Are you interested in ongoing opportunities or event-driven? Think about that. And the other part that I think, but you guys have to test this out from the nonprofit's perspective, is some sort of, you know, if you can track, do people show up? Some sort of quality control around this. I mean, you're not going to vet people and you're not going to interview them and everything else. But, you know, if you're finding somebody who's signing up and never showing up and those sorts of things, I think that kind of quality control could help with your sale to the nonprofit to say, hey, you know, we sign up people all the time and, you know, so-and-so doesn't show up. So think about kind of just building a little bit of quality and data around some of your subscribers, some of those students that will be using it.
Nice job, very well
Thank
done. I'm very familiar with Giving DuPage, so there are some similarities, but here's what I love what you guys are doing. Number one, you're going to have a reward system. That's not currently being done. Something that I heard kind of over and over again that might be your niche as well is it sounds like you're really trying to target high school and college students.
Correct.
That's what sets you apart. I love that. And I think you have a great idea. Obviously, with any business startup, there's areas that need tweaking and need a little bit more focus. But I think you have something there. I like the idea, I like the concept, and I think it has legs. So,
Thank
nice
you.
job.
Yeah, I would double down on what Nikki said and the rest of the team. I thought you did a really nice job, credible. You did the best of summarizing your responsibilities going forward and build credibility with me that you knew what you're going to do when you leave here. And hopefully that's true because it sounds like you have different skills and that's how a normal company would work. You did a bang-up job. I agree with Mark. One of the things I was concerned about is quality. I looked at a company earlier this week where they're doing something tangential to this, but they had feedback loops so that you could say, hey, it was great, 4 stars, love that they came, and it was some feedback loop, because my concern would be after a very short period of time, the 3 people not showing, your brand is gonna be ruined. So you owe it to, what you're creating is what they call a two-sided model, okay? You're trying to build up consumers, you, and at the same time, you're also trying to build up places for them to go. And that's harder than most companies. So you have to first make sure that the people you're bringing to them are qualified, because I'm trusting your brand. And on the other side, you gotta make sure they're happy with that. You wanna think through the quality side here. I think that's your biggest nemesis. That if your students aren't good, it's gonna kill your brand.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear anything on that, and I think his point was spot on. Yeah, spot on. And then the numbers, I thought Gerald was nice to you as well. Everyone has really struggled, unfortunately, today on the numbers. You need a little more for us to make it credible. You would never invest if you were on our side of the table with what you presented to us on the numbers side. You just would, you need more. I know you said 1 year you're gonna make money, and it's just, we need more. I think you guys know that.
There's so many nonprofits in this area that would probably love to have access to students at the high school level, so opening that up to more than just the typical ones that get on the list, I think would be phenomenal.
I was shocked by your 47.4 million volunteer opportunities, because there's only 1.6 million nonprofits in the United States. So I'm trying to think, where's the other 40 million coming from, give or take? So it must be.
That was on our 5-year financial model.
Yeah. Where's your source from that? Because I know the nonprofit number's not too far off. So I'm trying to think, other volunteer opportunities must include companies saying.
Yeah, it includes
we'll take
literally
you for
like,
free?
it includes like literally every, it's not like all nonprofit companies, it's like any company that really gives out any volunteer opportunity.
So
For there to be,
companies
it
saying-
could be like a random company
Okay.
that gives out a volunteer opportunity, like
Okay.
here and there.
So like, one good example would be like, for example, the Live Center, like that's opened up here in Naperville, that's technically not a non-for-profit, but it still like has a lot of volunteer opportunities. So we just factored in like how many companies actually like provide those volunteer opportunities and are not classified as a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys juniors or seniors?
Seniors.
Seniors, so you're all going through school. And you have to give your voluntary hours, right?
Yeah.
When you apply, everyone asks for it.
Yeah.
Do they ask for any credibility statement that that's true, that I did 127 hours? They don't?
No,
Because
I
you
don't.
could be, he's Mr. UL, right? You could be an approved, I don't know the word, professional credibility statement that in fact they did work 187 hours for these. Because you
Yeah.
saying on your resume doesn't give me any confidence, but if you have
Yeah.
a UL certification, a certification that this is true, that could help the resumes.
Well,
Yeah.
I took, building on what Mark was talking about, the quality, because really it's really talking about, you're talking about applicant tracking and
Right.
demographics, right?
Right.
Having that ability to say that Susie showed up and she worked 3 hours, Susie then has a record that I
Right.
worked this day for this organization, here's my 3 hours, because verification is an issue.
Yes, it is.
And I think that is something with the feedback
A
loop
third party.
that basically says, hey, guys, the NEF had this fantastic volunteer opportunity, I went and had a great time, was able to contribute back, goes a lot for the next time any organization asks for volunteers, it also speaks to the volunteer who did the work. And volunteer for NEF, by the way.
And I think,
I'm shameless on
I
that.
thought that was weird.
I think to your
I didn't hear any
point,
woo-hoo.
the importance of that data, that you need, the analytics that you need, could then transfer to kind of what you were saying, this third market, where now you guys are the verification and clearinghouse, if you will, for confirming that these people have done. I love that
Yeah,
idea.
the nice thing about your business is scalable.
Yep.
Right, there's nothing that's, no barrier to entry from here to San Francisco. Everyone's got this problem, every high school student,
Yeah.
certainly North America.
I'm gonna lean into this a little bit and say, okay, you've asked for $100. What could you do with 200?
I mean, maybe invest in, first of all, more reward system depending on how many actual people we attract to this product in the minimum viable product period. Another thing we can also invest into is maybe more into the security side of things, like for collecting phone numbers and such things like that. We'll be able to maybe meet with employers and actively talk about
I would strongly urge you put it in your website and application development.
And then for May, you want to have traction if you want to have a chance in May, meaning how many people would sign up? You can get that done right now. Students, get students signing up right now. We've already got 3,000 students willing to sign on this program. We got 37 businesses. Get as many signups as you possibly can, even without revenue. Get traction. There's nothing more important to an investor than traction.
Nicely done, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Nicely done.